32 slingshot versus 32 gun. Now I did a test like this a little while ago with 38 slingshot versus 38 gun. This is going to be a little bit more comparable. And the reason why mostly has to do with the fact that these are both lead projectiles and are almost the same diameter. 32 Smith & Wesson, this is one of the oldest handgun cartridges out there. It's a really low powered cartridge and it uses a .312 caliber bullet. What I have for slingshot ammo, also lead, also looks like almost pure lead like these 32 Smith & Wessons. They're a .315 diameter. So almost identical diameter. An interesting thing about these is even though they're a smaller diameter, they weigh about the same as the steel balls. These are 48 grains. The steel balls were 53 grains. So we should get roughly the same velocity, but we're putting that energy into a little bit smaller area. That might make a difference. Also, lead deformation might make a little bit of difference. And I wanted to point something out about my previous test. I got a lot of comments saying, hey, you should have done this, you should have done that. You know, the whole point was to use a slingshot like this. I grew up on slingshots like this. They're what I'm accustomed to. So when people say, oh, yes, you have like $1,000 slingshot. No, this is the point of the test. So please don't comment on that. But 32 versus 32, we're going to see how these two compare. So we're going to go through the chronograph and we're going to see what kind of velocity and accuracy I can get at the same time with both the slingshot and the firearm. And then we're going to go through the Juggernaut box, which contains a 1 3/4 inch pack of bologna. We're covered by 4 layers of denim, followed by 1/4 inch medium density fiberboard that kind of simulate like ribs or sternum. And if I can't go through it, I'll probably switch this around and see what kind of dent it makes on the back of this fiberboard. Then 2 water jugs to catch these bullets, and typically how this compares to ballistic shell is normal ammunition of handguns gets into the back about 3 to 4, jug 3 to 4. And then at the end, I'm also going to launch some of these off at a 50-yard target just to see how they do. So let's get started with the test. All right, first up, we got the slingshot. I'm going to pull these back as hard as I think I can to get the best possible velocity that I can. So let's see what we get. 218, that's not bad at all. That's a little bit faster than my average with the steel balls. .230, so this is looking promising. .231. All right. .235. Very good. .226, so definitely faster. I mean, it is 5 grains lighter compared to the steel ball, but I still think we got a little bit more energy over that steel ball. Now, let's see how that 32 caliber Smith & Wesson compares. All right, 32 Smith & Wesson. I'm back about 5 yards from the target and chronograph, so let's see what we get. And by the way, these are 88 grain bullets. .556. 547. 556. 536. 547. And shooting these, even out of this 17-ounce Ruger LCR, it feels like shooting a cap gun. Very low power. Now let's hit the ballistic box. We'll start with the slingshot and see how these compare to each other. All right, just like with my previous test, because there's a little bit higher probability of getting a ricochet, I'm going to wear a helmet. So let's see what we get with the slingshot. Hit this hard. It left a pretty significant dent, a little bit better than the steel did. So I would say it's hitting harder. Let's try it one more time. Yeah, it's denting it hard. Let's turn it over. I'm gonna stand back just a little bit and see if we can hit it. Yeah, it ricocheted, hit me in the arm. Wasn't too bad, but it definitely left a really significant dent in that, better than what the steel ball did. I'll show that in a little bit. I'm going to hit it one more time. All right, so I want to show this. I don't really see a whole lot of denting in the back of this wood. It just pretty much dimpled this duct tape. But where it impacted, it definitely had a little bit more force hitting. I'm going to hit a plain water jug. I know everybody wants to see one of these bust through a jug, so let's make it happen anyway without the ballistic pack. All right, plain water jug. Let's see if we can get into it. Yeah, we did. So we penetrated it. There's a penetration mark in the second one. So it is in the first one, but it actually punctured the second one and it's leaking. That's pretty good, because if we had to compare this to a ballistic shell, this would be about maybe 4 inches. So here's our lead ball. It did not deform at all. Looks like there's a little mark on it. So interesting, it actually did a little bit better in the plain water than what I would have expected. So let's see how that 32 Smith & Wesson handgun compares. All right, 32 Smith & Wesson, less powerful than the 22, but with a bigger bullet. Let's see what it does. All right. I definitely see water. So we punched through this entire thing here. Punched through the baloney pack. We punched through the fiberboard pretty easily. Impact, exit. So from the impact on this fiberboard, what we can actually tell is that lead is deforming a little bit, because that is much larger than 32 caliber. So it's starting to mushroom out and deform on its own because the lead is so soft. So we have a hole straight through our first jug. There's a lot of fiberboard fragments in there, so it's making a pretty nasty little, I guess it would be wound if that was a living target. There is a big dent on jug 3 and one out the back of jug 2. Bullets in here, that would indicate about 12 inches comparison to ballistics gel. And we got bullet deformation. That's pretty impressive for being a lead round nose bullet. This is basically the perfect way you want to load it around like this. You know, it did not over penetrate as where most lead round nose do. Excellent job overall for such a tiny little cartridge. Now let's shoot these at 50 yards and just see what kind of accuracy we can get. All right, so 50 yards, we have a full-size silhouette at that range, and my steel tank is behind that. And the goal to this, there's a lot of wood missing behind that target holder. So the goal here is to punch through the paper and possibly hit that steel tank on the other side. I have no idea how this is going to shoot at 50 yards, let alone that slingshot. So we'll start with the 32 Smith & Wesson and see what happens. Don't know where it hit. I pulled that one. There we go. So I actually had to aim really low to hit through that. So did okay, I guess. Let's try the 32 Slingshot. All right, Slingshot, 32 caliber balls. I don't know if I can even come close here, so let's see what happens. I'm not really sure what I'm hitting, if I'm even hitting close. So I'm just going to launch a bunch of them out that way and try to get lucky here. I'm hitting something, but I don't know if it's the actual target or if it's something else. Let's keep trying. All right. That was wood, so it's definitely missing. All right, there we go. See, this is the challenge where I taught myself to shoot left-handed when I was a kid. So I don't have sights. If I use the sights, I get a little bit closer. I'm doing awful today with this. There we go. All right, I've had enough with that. As you can see, at 50 yards with the lead balls, for whatever reason, I can't hit very well. It's mostly because I can't see them. With the steel, I could see a little bit of gleaming in the light, and I could see where they're at and then kind of adjust for that. With these lead balls, I cannot see at all. So you really need to be a little bit better with a slingshot than me to use lead balls effectively. But what we did see was even putting smaller diameter with as much or more energy, it didn't really make this test really any better than the steel balls. Even the impacts in the fiberboard seemed like less with lead than steel. So I would still say I think steel is going to be a little bit better option. It seems to do better, and I think it probably has something to do with deformation of that lead, because if it deforms a little bit hitting something hard, it can kind of make the surface area larger and make it harder to penetrate something. The steel doesn't have that issue. It's very hard, so it's going to just really knock whatever you're hitting pretty hard. So I would say steel's a little bit better. Now 32 Smith & Wesson, interesting little cartridge there. I would not really recommend it for self-defense. If somebody had some similar revolver like a 327 32 H&R mag, 32 Smith & Wesson long, I would say avoid the 32 Smith & Wessons. Go to 32 Smith & Wesson long. 32 Smith & Wesson long is similar to an equivalent to like 38 Special, where you have this kind of the similar loads, round nose wad cutters, and you're hitting with about 100 foot-pounds energy, a little bit better than just plain 32 Smith & Wesson. But anyways, try to make it as comparable as possible. The weakest handgun cartridge I have with the Slingshot, it's still not even comparable. The Slingshot really is not a very powerful weapon. But I suppose if you had a big enough rock and you hit something like that, maybe. So that's what you get today, 32 Smith & Wesson versus 32 Slingshot. So as always, comment, share, and like, and thanks for watching.